What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. So TDUSC has been out for a month now, and it is the best, worst new open world racing game out there. Just a quick disclaimer before we get into it, I have racked up roughly 70 hours in TDUSC, and I have thoroughly enjoyed a good 90% of the time I've spent playing this game. There is many good attributes to this game, such as having one of the best handling and physics models in an open world racing game to date, having a good quality map, amazing weather effects, awesome scenery, and great car models. But the lack of it missing the core TDU elements such as houses, a casino, proper dealerships, a ridiculous AI system, a confused limited vehicle category system, lack of diversity in terms of story, events, and missions to complete, as well as the many bugs, this has led to the game pretty much failing at launch. Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown is the best, worst new racing game that's recently been released. It's also the only racing game where players have had to wait over 13 years for a new title. Although TDUSC has many good attributes, there are many things that have and will kill this game if they are not addressed ASAP. Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown could have been so much more, however, many players feel that it wasn't. First of all, the catastrophic launch the game went through when it was released. Early Access Gold Edition players were somewhat able to access the game a week prior to its actual release, which was September 12th. This was due to the servers not being able to handle the amount of people trying to play the game. Players were dropped from the race, couldn't join races, got automatically disconnected during free roam, but more importantly, in some cases, couldn't even load up the game due to its ridiculous online feature. This was actually announced well before the game's release, and the developers have said they are wanting to release an offline patch, however, we are yet to see this. Given the fact that reviews across all platforms such as Steam, Xbox, and the PlayStation Store are all mostly negative, this goes to show that this game has been a colossal failure for its publishers Nacon and its parent company, the Big Ben Group. A document has been released stating that Big Ben is now considering selling its 76% stake in Nacon, valued at 50 million euros. So even I knew this game's situation was bad, but I didn't know it was that bad, which is absolutely insane. Not only the issues with the game's launch situation, the game also failed to meet players' expectations for a TDU game. The game failed to deliver on property purchasing and selling at launch. Now I know this might not seem too bad, however it genuinely is. Not that the Test Drive franchise hasn't had previous games before their Limited series was introduced. The original Test Drive Limited, released in 2006, a game which is almost 20 years old, had houses available for purchase at launch. The next game in the series, Test Drive Unlimited 2, released 13 years ago, also had houses available for purchase at launch. So because property purchasing had become such a big feature in Test Drive, this feature really set the Test Drive series apart from other racing games. This is just one example of why players loved the Test Drive Unlimited series. As there is no properties available for purchase yet in TDUSC, there is literally nothing apart from cars, upgrades, player clothes, and cosmetic changes to buy with your money. This is a huge feature missing from the game, and this leaves the game feeling stale and boring after you have reached level 55 or 60 with not a lot left to do. The limited car catalogue and the confusing vehicle category structure also boggles my mind. There is 115 cars in TDUSC, which is a good starting amount, but in today's terms is extremely small for an open world racing game, especially when you consider games such as Forza Horizon 5, which is sitting at over 815 vehicles. That's 8 times bigger, which is absolutely insane. Not to mention the vehicle's structure system, where you can see cars that aren't even supercars being added by the developers into the supercar category. Vehicles such as the Shelby GT500s and Dodge Challenger Hellcat are clearly American and muscle cars and shouldn't be in the supercar category. You can also find the McLaren 720S Coupe is in the hypercar category, as you can see here. which, as I said before, this is a weird and confusing vehicle category system. The confusing vehicle rating system coincides with the confusing dealership system too. Around the map you will see different dealerships based off the country or continent that they are from, such as American cars, British cars, and German cars. However, the game also has two separate classic car dealerships, a luxury car dealership, and the weirdest of them all, separate Ferrari and Lamborghini dealerships. Why the developers decided to split these two manufacturers off into their own dealerships is anyone's guess, when they could have created so many more dealerships, whether it be either specific to manufacturers or even the country that the vehicles are from. Driving around the map, you'll soon realise there is a lot of unused map, and not in the sense that there isn't roads or cool places to explore, but especially in the city, there is a lot of unused buildings that would be perfect to house car dealerships, real estate establishments, clothing shops, and play-out cosmetic shops. Along with the limited car catalogue, there is also an extremely limited storyline. The only level of somewhat storyline we remotely experience in TDU SC is in the game's introduction when you first start the game. Apart from that, you are on your own. The introduction is actually pretty good and clearly has potential. However, after you purchase your first vehicle, there is literally nothing after that, and the only place you can interact with any story-related characters is in the clan meetup spots, where you'll collect rewards on a regular basis. In these locations, yes, there is other players around, but they are literally all NPCs, and you can't interact with them. Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown has no story. It has no depth, and there isn't a lot going on, and you don't experience anything new after the story introduction, apart from a few things which you unlock anyway. This is just another very disappointing trait of this game. Another very disappointing trait of the game is the AI. The AI are way too freaking OP in some races, but not all of them. I actually found that a good half of the races were a decent challenge, which was genuinely enjoyable. But other races, they are absolutely ridiculous and it's fucking rigged. This inconsistency is extremely frustrating and their AI just simply isn't programmed correctly. There is no difficulty setting, and some races you can't even complete because the AI vehicles have so much more horsepower and grip. This isn't the case with all races, but I just don't understand why the level of inconsistency is so prevalent in this game. You'll win a decent portion of races, whereas a select few, you won't even get a glimpse of a podium finish. My frustration in the AI also stems to the fact that they have no spatial awareness of your vehicle being around them in any race, and they are absolutely horrible drivers. They crash, drive off mountains, take corners way too quickly, and have no grip in the rain. Yes, this is good to win races, but the inconsistency is so obvious. Next we get into the traffic AI, which isn't actually too bad. However, in some cases, the traffic AI also doesn't have any spatial awareness of your vehicle, or other AI traffic vehicles around them either. They will crash into you, brake check you, crash into other vehicles, and they are also programmed pretty badly too. Even though there was a lack of houses being introduced within the game at launch, there is also a huge lack of diversity of things to do around the map. Literally all you can do is races. That is it. Yes, there is speed traps, wrecks to collect, map to explore, and other small activities you can do to earn money or XP, such as collecting solar or reputation coins. But apart from the few limited activities to do, there was nothing really else left to do, which I felt quite disappointed by. There is no delivery missions, convoys, businesses to create and grow as passive income, and there is no casino. Yes, they have stated that this is coming at a later date. However, this is something that should have been in the game at launch, along with houses and other missions to complete. Even the original Test Drive and Test Drive Unlimited 2 has way more activities, such as tail, jolt, speed limit challenges, various types of convoys, other types of time attack, adrenaline missions, houses and casinos, and much more. Having these other activities gives you something else to pass the time other than just completing races. I don't think this needs too much more justification, as you can clearly see what I mean. There is a few other things in the game that need to be addressed too, such as not being able to pause the game during races, numerous bugs and glitches still being present in the game, along with a weird visual customization system that has no way to share or download liveries from other players, and races needing higher payouts. But all this aside, I have genuinely enjoyed 90% of my playtime during this game. The other 10%, I've also genuinely wanted to throw my controller at the wall. The game has huge potential, and I can see it being a lot more in the future than it currently is. We also have to remind ourselves that TDU SC was not and never will be a AAA game. The game was created by a small French studio with roughly 148 employees, and it doesn't have huge funding like GTA or Forza Horizon. Everyone has extremely high expectations these days, and yes, it's obvious that TDU SC didn't meet a lot of people's expectations, including mine, but the developers certainly deserve a less hate towards the game. All in all, the game does need work and a lot more content, especially vehicles, houses, and missions, but they have delivered a pretty good base to build upon, and the map is absolutely fantastic in my opinion. No, the game shouldn't have been released yet, and I don't know about you, but I would have happily waited 6 months or more for the game to be released. Regardless, I still find myself wanting to load up the game just to get in the car and go for a drive. That is all for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, we will catch you in the next one.